so we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so I'll do introductions since we didn't go through that yet. We have Phyllis Berger. I am Kristen Chantrell. Don Fimminster.
Hi.
We have Sam Sims and Gregory McIntyre. We have Sue Spang here as a recording secretary and Gary Gaishel as our inland wetlands agent. Moving on to public delegations. The public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission about certain matters, issues, or concerns related to approved wetland permits and in-house proposals or general topics of discussion are open to comment. Agenda items, referrals, applications, subject to a decision by the commission, a public hearing or litigation may not be discussed. The members of the commission will not directly answer questions or make comment during delegations. Reading the room, none there. Public hearings, none. Acceptance of minutes from the January 18th, 2022 special meeting. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
I move the minutes be accepted from January 18th.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ex officio report, none today.
Andy is across the hall, so
Oh, so we can move that to
move that to the end.
when she comes in? Sure.
We need a vote to do that, yes? Do we, Sue, we need a vote to move that to the end?
No,
It's a consensus. Okay.
as long as it stays within the...
Okay. No new business. All right, so moving on to pending applications. We have the application of Charles Hand, owner, to conduct regulated activities for the construction of 2 self-storage units at the property identified in the application as 18 Colton Road, East Lyme Assessors Map 9.0, Lot 11. Did anyone get to go out there and see it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
When'd you go out?
I went on Friday.
I was gonna say, because
I was going to say I went yesterday, it was all white.
yeah. I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
you can't see anything
No,
now.
I was like,
Yeah.
well, he
What
had to have done
wetlands?
before. Yeah. What did you think?
I think it's, given the drawing of the site and the intended use, I think it's reasonable, and I don't see any reason why not to approve it. There really is no steep gradient there. It's very, very flat, even down into the woodlands. It's flat, fairly flat. Obviously, it's not flat, but it's sort of flat. And again, it's storage units with a very low runoff, and there's not going to be a lot of traffic. People put stuff in and they leave and they don't come back. So I think it's a reasonable request.
Did you see the car there still?
Yeah.
I did.
Still
But clearly it's movable.
Yeah.
The temporary shed at the far end of the zone looked a little more problematic to me than the car itself.
Oh.
Yeah. So
but-
Quonset hut, isn't it, kind of?
Yeah, it's a half roof Quonset
Yeah.
style, I think it's a fabric.
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think that's in the plan of the
No,
addition.
no.
It would be between buildings.
And,
After.
I don't know if you recall at the last meeting, and Bob was here this evening as well, for any further questions. We indicated that would be best served if they either put that into an application as a building or
Oh,
remove it.
right,
I
right.
think they were willing to do
Well-
either. So either way, in that regard, I think in terms of going forward, it would have to be removed unless it's going to revise the plan and add it. So I think we could note as a condition of.
Do you want to come up, Bob? And
If there was a condition of approval, you would approve it, and it would have to be removed. And obviously subsequent to that, they could reapply for a permit to add it.
It's a semi-permanent building though, right? Do we have anything to say about that? Because
It's
it's not
not.
really...
It is
not
a structure.
temporary, right?
Oh, it is a structure?
It does, by definition, be a
Oh,
structure,
okay.
so it does require a permit
Oh,
for a building,
okay.
zoning, and what.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does. Alright.
We're talking about.
Did you want
structure that's
to,
right
we
here.
can, he can speak, right? So
Yeah,
we're
see,
having
see,
not
discussion.
shown.
Yes.
It's not shown on this, it's
I
right off the
Yeah.
end of this unit.
Great if you
And
make
there's a
sure you
car
consider
that's
just in
kinda
case
parked
there's
right
any
here.
final questions.
For sure.
Although there were very few at the last meeting, it was, whether the new members wanted to get them out there and take a look at it. I did draft a memorandum with some findings, jumping off points, something helpful. As you can see, in the resolution, there's a handful of conditions. Most of them are standard.
So, Gary, are these structures gonna have, are they built on a slab, cement slab?
Yes,
I think it was.
so they're at grade, honestly.
Okay, and then also, I don't know, I looked at it on Friday, obviously before the snow, so I was just wondering if they could be moved closer to the road so they would be further away from the wetlands?
I was wondering that too. Is it make the driveway too narrow possibly, or?
It would probably, they're probably, I think,
There's a
at
dimension
24
right
feet in
there.
the drive aisle for two-way traffic as you come to the left. If you're driving into the site, as you move to the left toward the wetland,
So it's,
that drive aisle, they have to maintain, I believe it's 24 feet unless.
That's correct, yeah, that's
That's
one
what
way
it-
we couldn't push it in closer.
Oh, closer to the street?
Yeah,
actually, it says 16 feet here between the corner of the second building and the,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's a lot
Here.
of traffic in and out of the.
No, there isn't.
There's all the space in between it. It wasn't-
yeah,
So there's one of the
essentially
tracks
pulled it in as far as
Yeah.
so maintain the traffic situation. In that
About
case,
60.
a one-lane drive going through there.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
if you're looking at the plan,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see where they're 16 feet, but
Yeah.
that's a one-way directional.
Yeah.
Where the
Okay.
24 is, there was a two-way.
Yeah.
If I could also interject something else. I talked to Charlie, the owner, and he indicated a few years ago he was interested in putting that the shed up, and he went and met with the town planner, and the town planner basically said, you know, as long as you do these certain things, you know, you can just go ahead and put that shed up. So he did have some conversations with the zoning enforcement officer, and they said, yeah, you can put it there. Obviously, he didn't come in for a wetland permit, but he did get it sorted out through the zoning department.
I'll have to follow, I would have to follow with Bill, counterpart there, to see if there's any zoning permit issued for it.
Yeah.
That's, at the end of the day, if there's no permitting on it, or we was verbally told, I can't.
No, I understand completely,
So,
yeah. But he did make an attempt to,
Yeah,
you know, to deal with it properly with the zoning department.
okay. I don't recall having a conversation with him regarding that structure myself as a town planner, or as a wetland agent, but I think that structure's been there for quite some time. And
Yeah.
my guess, it might have been a predecessor that he spoke with, so.
That could be, yeah.
But, so that's.
We'll figure it out.
Speak to that.
Yeah, because it's not on this plan, so is he
No,
not
no, I
ever
wasn't
keep
even aware
planning
that
to
was there
keep it?
until I went out
Okay,
to view the site myself, and
okay.
I was like, well, we're gonna have to deal with this, so.
Yeah, separate issue, I guess, at this point.
Well, but you don't want to approve something with something sticking out there. I mean,
So
you
we
still got
could-
the car there, you've got the Quonset
Again.
hut.
Now, obviously, in this resolution, it's not in there, but my recommendation would be to approve the, if you were going to approve the application, the condition that the Quonset not be removed. And then he has to deal with that issue. You know, obviously, he'll have to either come in and apply for a permit, I mean, be removed, or get a permit, but
well, clearly the car is gonna have to be removed to be able to put these buildings up.
yes, the car is gonna move anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then, and the car.
We want cars in.
Not a structure, it's as a motor vehicle.
Yeah.
I think he's allowed to have up to 3 unregistered vehicles on a lot,
Oh.
under zoning.
Oh.
3
Oh, wow.
unregistered?
That kind of shoots us in the foot.
Oh, that's
Just a
good.
little bit.
The shed's a bigger
Just
problem.
It does vary from town to town, so.
3 cars.
Yeah. So who's going to follow up, though, that the Quonset hut actually comes
So
down.
as he goes forward, he's gonna need a building permit and make application. That's where, as I, as the staff and agent, would ensure that he's compliant with the permit that's issued. So before he starts and puts a shovel in the ground, we have to ensure that all the necessary applicable items, conditions are met. I would recommend that be one of them that be removed and or permitted. So he'd have to turn around, come back in if he wants to keep it and make application. But as far as an approval would go, it would be recommended, again, to have it removed as part of the approval. And it's cleaner that way.
Yeah.
Because it's just a stone throw from the wetland there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no closer than the other building.
If we had more time, I would say we would, I don't know that you
See,
can add it to
this
the
is
plan
the
at this
limit
point.
right here, right?
It's been advertised and noticed
Yeah,
publicly.
this shed is over here, so it's no closer than anything else.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Right,
Once we
right.
get outside
But
the
it
scope of-
is a fairly minor situation. I mean, it's been there for a long time.
Oh, wait, I'll take
It is
this
close
back.
to the
The
wetlands,
shed's
no
up the
question
end of this
about that,
building.
but it's a non-permanent structure. And I would think if he were to have to go through the process all over again, filing for a permit application, doing everything else, it would probably not be worth his while to do it. I mean, if we just do a modification to allow this subject to the, the zoning stuff, because, again, I mean, these are a lot of time and money to come in front of your commission and go through, and, I'm not saying, do this for everything, but it's a non-permanent structure. It's just a hoop house, and it's been there for a long time, and, walking around it, I didn't notice any significant impacts that occurred due to its presence there. So, I mean, you do what you're gonna do. It's just that if he's gotta go through this all over again, he might just say, it's just not worth my time.
My recommendation would be, because you can modify, once the permit, if it's issued, he could come back in and apply for a modification. Then the filing fee is not nearly as significant as making a whole new application for
Okay.
something like you did. So that would save some, relieve some of that financial burden. That's the best.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
think
you appreciate it. Yes.
just so that it, I think the best thing what we want to do is just try to get him, make sure he's compliant
Right.
with the regulations.
Yes.
So,
Not a problem.
So how much is the filing fee?
$1,000, isn't it?
This filing fee for this application, total $13.10.
Yeah.
So the modification of the fee schedule here,
Did you mention to the owner about the car, removing it? Because I know when we talked, you said that you would have him move it, the little
I'm
sports car.
I'm having a hard time hearing that.
Oh,
I was playing with the nail gun and I should have worn here.
oh. The last time you were here, we talked about about the car, and you said that you were going to talk to him about removing it, but yet Friday it was still in the same spot. Did you
I
talk
was
to
in
him?
Florida, that's why I couldn't be moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good place to be.
Yeah.
It's cold in
So
Florida.
the application for the modification of a previous approval is $100 plus your $60 state fee, and then you have to add in the square footage, and it's from Schedule A, and if it's less than 1,000, there's no additional fee. If the square footage of the structure and the disturbance would be between 1,000 and 5,000, it's an additional $250. More than 5,000 square feet of disturbance, $750. And I would think that
Probably under 1,000.
it's probably 100,000. So I guess
So $160 bucks.
$160 to
Yeah, I mean, it's,
bring it into compliance. And my professional opinion is that the structure's there, the area around it is all vegetated. There's not going to be no disturbance. I would be more apt to say I can issue an administrative permit for something like that because it's an existing structure in there. Any impact that's occurred has already occurred. Things as far as what's being stored in there, you can't police it.
Well, I just have a problem that it might have been put up without any
Without-
town official.
As I said,
Permits.
he did tell me that he talked to the zoning enforcement officer back when he put it up, and had some conversations. He tried to get it sorted out correctly, and he said, the guy said, do it. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if there's any documentation for that, but we can certainly look around for it, see if we can find something, or you can at least write down some kind of, record of what he did. And
Right. But in any case, there is a solution to go forward. So I think that's, my opinion. Good way to proceed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know you weren't aware it was there. It's not on the map, and it's almost like, hey, we're applying for this, but don't look over there. So I just think we should,
Yeah,
Make sure we
I think we've had,
follow
as
through.
part of the deliberation, we've certainly called it out.
yeah, yeah.
So I think we know that it needs permitting. I think that any motion this evening needs to be just carefully crafted to
Mhm.
note that.
Yep, okay. Does anyone have any questions? No? So this wasn't a public hearing, right? So we just can now move to make a decision?
Yes, we have 65 days to act on the application, and that's at the end of our timeline.
I
This is
would
it.
feel confident in making a decision.
Yeah.
So, I do agree with what you were saying, Greg, that I don't think that it's gonna add impact to the wetlands. I mean, in my opinion, it's just a storage facility. There's very little maintenance. It's already pretty cleared there with the road anyway, so, I mean, it does kill me a bit that we're only 2 feet from the wetlands, but, with assurances that they're not gonna,
So I did, as part of, to address that concern,
yeah,
I did suggest a erosion sedimentation control bond, obviously in an amount satisfactory to myself, the agency, the town engineer, either that can work with the engineer developing the bond, to get that posted prior. So should there be an issue that isn't corrected by the developer, the town would have surety to be able to have funds to go in and restore, stabilize the area.
and would that include, potential like gravel runoff, like post-construction into the wetlands?
Post-construction, we would hold the bond until we would, my response is that if they want their bond money back, they need to certify that the site's stable.
Oh, okay.
Especially for its erosion sedimentation control bond.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we get the engineer record and say, yep, site's stable, nothing's moving, and that's what we did with Gateway. Got their
Mhm.
engineers from BL to certify that the entire site was stable, even though I did a site walk with them to go through it. It protects us
Mm-hmm,
and the environment
yep. Okay,
to an extent.
Hmm.
It's not to say that a significant storm won't cause erosion.
right, that can be inevitable.
So do we need a motion to accept Gary's memorandum as, with the addition of notification of the temporary structure being removed?
No.
Or,
think
or what, you said, Gary, some kind of permit for that structure because it's grandfathered in, basically?
Well, I was suggesting that if the agency were to approve the application, that they condition that the Quonset hut be removed, noting that the applicant could apply to modify the application
So,
to include it.
yeah.
You could, I mean, depending on how you want to craft your motion, you could, as you started to say, that you make a motion to, I guess, say approve this memorandum, but accept the memorandum. I do have some just general language. Historically, somebody would read this. This is a significant amount of material. So in the language there, you're saying based on your findings in the memo from myself, dated February 1st, 2022, on the record before the agency, and that covers, you don't have to read all the findings that I went through within the memo. But those findings basically help the commission determine terms of making a determination whether or not it's complete application. I believe that it is. The first three findings support that.
I mean, your seventh point on the back page, point 7, clearly lays out that any additional work will require further permitting.
Correct.
So, Madam Chair, are we ready for a motion?
I just want to confirm that everyone has spoken that wants to, or discussed enough. Yeah, Phyllis, what do you think?
I haven't decided yet. I'm still concerned about it.
Yeah, I know. I would say we could go forward with the motion.
Okay. I move that we accept the memorandum from the town agent, from our agent, as support to approve the application in this particular instance, with the proviso that the existing shed be removed and that any further work in that area would, as in point 7 of this memo, require additional permitting.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, or is it too late? Gary?
Wait for discussion. Just
So-
wait, you have a- you
So
have
we
a
just
motion
need
on
to
the
make a
floor.
second and then we
Need
can
a second.
discuss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
discuss.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Can I discuss? Oh, just out of curiosity, it says, will fill be needed on site? And it says no. So how high is the slab? Because there's definitely a drop of, maybe 1.5 feet from the driveway.
So the slab's gonna be at grade, that they would pour a footing, so they're actually gonna probably excavate, put the footing in, and then they'll pour the slab at grade.
Oh, okay, so there won't be.
They're not needing to fill, they're needing to excavate.
Okay, all right, that answers my
And I
question.
saw something like the to excavate, they have to be on a certain side, right? So they're not on the wetland side at all.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that was, in the engineer's report,
Mhm.
described how they would construct that,
Yep.
how it's set would be satisfied.
That was it.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Everybody,
Thank you for your time.
all right,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, old business, none. Chairman's report. Oh, wait, do we want to see if Anne's free? Or we can still wait to that at the end?
You can still wait till the end.
Okay.
I can-
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 2 weeks since our last meeting, so I imagine there's nothing worth mentioning currently. Except for the bus garage. And I'm wondering with Anne, I wanted to kind of discuss that with her. There's money still that the town has, right? Wasn't there a grant that she was talking about?
For the buses?
No, just for
There was some
different
federal
use.
money that
Was
they
it-
were.
oh, the
Yes.
COVID?
Yes,
No, it was like 3.6
$6
mil.
million, we're still.
Right.
Could that be used for something like this or no?
I think the school's got their own segment of that.
Yes, I think the schools do. So
Oh, interesting.
we could work with Jeff. And so, you know, I had reached out to Jeff and Kevin. It's on their radar.
Mm.
Okay.
We can bring it to Anne's
Yeah.
attention as well, because I don't know if it's on hers. But,
Yeah, I just
For
think they
ongoing
remember, I
discussions.
remember Ann saying that the school's got their own slice of that, and that the process they were undergoing right now is for everybody else.
Oh, okay.
So if the bus barn is part of the school, then they
Yeah.
ostensibly have funding for that,
Okay.
or have funding that they can decide to use for that. How's that?
Okay. I'm just not gonna drop it. All right, so that's all I have for this meeting.
okay.
Moving on to your
My
report.
is brief. I brought the wrong file, but nonetheless, it's a file moving forward on 297 Boston Post Road. The Smith property gonna enforce on that. The application has not come in, I reported that at the last meeting as well.
Right.
So hopefully that notice will go, just a cease and desist order, we'll reissue it, and or talk with council about having them send a letter for requesting an injunction possibly.
Has there been new activity there?
New activity?
Yeah.
There's certainly activity going on out there, so
Yeah.
it's not permitted.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
kind of the issue.
I mean, it's right next to the road, so it's kind of hard to miss.
Right.
And it looked like some new material, I don't know,
Yeah.
concrete forms or something.
Yes.
Stacked, of course, on the wetland side.
Yep.
With that stream, there's still some vegetation between it and that dirt drive aisle and that material.
Can you like write a memo to deliver to them now saying that we're intending to get a cease and desist letter as soon as possible so that they don't end up doing a lot of work?
Yeah, normally, in terms of the enforcement process, I would start with a notice of violation. That's kind of, that's really no legal.
Right,
It's just putting
right.
you on notice that there's a violation potentially. Call me, hopefully we'll be nice about it and get it resolved. Failure to follow that, I usually follow that with a cease and desist order, which they have to immediately stop any work. In the event that it's kind of an egregious violation or willful violation, I'll issue a cease and desist immediately as needed
Mhm.
and in that regard. So here we have an applicant where he knows he needs to make application for a permit. The agency did not extend his permit for the regulated activity of stockpiling of soil. Not all of these other, outside storage of equipment. We didn't permit that. We permitted, and thus we didn't renew the permit. Therefore, all of that activity, in my opinion, needs to be regulated, so it's a violation of the regs. So I'm going to be, my feeling is I can just go right issue that cease and desist order, and then we'll have to have a show cause hearing within 10 days. Our next regular scheduled meeting is March 1st, so I can coordinate it with that.
That'd be ideal. We've had.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion for that to get it through, so it's on the agenda for next month?
You can put it on the agenda as a discussion item, but I have to take the enforcement action.
Okay.
Technically, I'm not being directed to, I'm just telling you this is what I'm going to do because we've had some time. I think it's
Yeah.
time to move
I
forward.
just don't want it to be forgotten again, because
Mhm.
we keep rolling this thing like a ball down the alley, and nothing's happened.
Right, so this will be the next.
So could we take a vote to have that
Yeah, if you want to.
Smith property? I don't know how you want to phrase it.
Just, we'll note that it's to be on the agenda and we'll make sure it's on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
Be noted in the minutes.
Send it to the-
okay. So are there any other applications coming up that are going to be large that you foresee?
Not that I necessarily foresee in the immediate future. There is potentially one out on Colton Road. Still don't know what they really want to do with the building. This is the 15R. Kurt Hayes owns the parcel in the back and runs his operation out of there. This is a parcel that fronts on Colton Road. There's a pond in the front. Looks like a cape, kind of a farm.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is it
It's
green?
on the right
Is
side?
it like a pea green kind of
Yes.
house? Oh, okay.
So
That's
that-
vacant, right?
Yes, it was just purchased.
Huh.
So they want to make some modifications to the building, obviously, without a plan, I can't advise you whether or not I could issue the permit of the agency. Talking to their engineer, based on their description, it's going to have to come before the agency. So that's the only thing that's in the works that I'm aware of right now. Other than some of the things that we have in litigation. You know what we didn't touch on? The Fasari application.
Which one's that?
Oh, that it's in planning.
Oh,
But that's a planning. It would have been nice to know where that stood, because they had just had a hearing 2 weeks ago, and I guess they're probably just waiting on a court decision now. So, but anyway, aside from that, I don't think that has to come back here. Gateway's kind of closed up for the time being. It's really just some small stuff. Lease subdivision, keeping an eye on that.
Oh, yeah.
Stonehenge.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, you can look at that pile of dirt, and when the snow wasn't there, you would see that there's definitely a vernal pool or a pool of water. I mean, there's no way about it. So I think it was
Yeah.
Gary Upton said you could just throw a ball into it. So, I mean, it's in violation.
The stockpile?
The dirt pile that's there.
It's in violation,
But
it's on the plan, he's showing that it's outside of the 100-foot upland review area.
But there's a patch of water right next to it.
Yeah, that pile we've discussed, that.
Yeah, we have, when Gaishel, not Gaishel, but Gary Upton was here, we discussed it.
I can take a look at it again. I mean, I think the survey shows, I mean, they delineated all the wetlands. I mean, if it's a vernal pool, it wasn't identified as a vernal pool. And so we'd have to go out there, I can go out there in the spring and try to
Yeah.
make those conclusions.
You know,
I
it
see-
may not even be a vernal pool, because I see it, because I take that road frequently, and it's
that
always
area
been
that's
there.
constantly inundated.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think we talked about it, and
Yeah.
you said there was a bunch of weeds, and you weren't gonna crawl through there last summer, but there's definitely a pool of water there.
So that water body is part of the wetlands that was delineated on the plan. That is 100 feet from, that's 108 feet from that
It's
site.
108 feet, yeah.
I know, but I don't think there's any silt fence there.
I can take a look, and I'm sure he's got some silt fence off there,
Okay.
following best practices.
Mhm.
And what about the guidelines we've talked about as far as how you approve things?
Yeah, so I'm gonna craft those. You wanted a copy of the Connecticut ENS guidelines? I can certainly provide you a link to it on the Connecticut DEP website.
Well, I just kind of like to understand the town's reasoning for approving some things. Because you have people walk up to you and say, well, how can that be approved when it's, and maybe everybody else here knows, but I don't.
No, I mean, we have talked about this a lot, about actually spelling out, well, if there's this many cubic yards of fill, or this many, you know, disturbed, or if it's, you know, spelling out exactly, you know, to say, this you're gonna see and this you're not. I don't think that we necessarily have that spelled out just yet.
Yeah, and I have draft language already drafted that would do that.
Okay.
I had, I believe, about a year ago, I had recommended to go forward. We had a subcommittee that drafted that language. That fell kind of through the cracks, and the commission chose to just increase the upland review area, which is fine. But more than happy to disseminate that proposed language, and we can start maybe incorporating that into our regs. I also wanted to work with attorneys in Marka, obviously have counsel take a look at it, make sure that it is consistent with statute, and we're not doing anything that we can't do. The other is to craft a section in the regulations that a little more explicit as far as what constitutes a complete application, when that determination is made, rather than having applications piecemeal together through the public hearing process. From historically, several applications we've had, we're just a headache in terms of management, tracking every document that ever came in. Instead of revising the entire plan set and resubmitting the plan set, we had individual sheets getting submitted. So the revision dates on those sheets would change, but not on the overall plan set sheet. So it makes it very cumbersome in tracking all of that to ensure that we're approving the correct plan that's commissioned.
So are you basically looking for a checklist? You've got to have this, and
Right,
that.
but I want to make it pursuant to the regs. We do have guidelines, and we have a checklist, but it's not necessarily required. We go under section 7, and we can ask for additional information. We can, of course, leave those caveats in there. But I think if you can somehow spell out that here's the procedurally, when you submit revised plans, this is the process you need to follow so that the plan set meets our criteria so we can review it. When I get scaled plans at 1 inch equals 100, I can't read the detailed grading that's required on a swale adjacent to a town right-of-way. And if I'm the town engineer, I don't like it, you know, and when town engineers pointing it out to me, you know, if I wasn't an engineer, this is almost impossible for anyone to interpret what's going on here. So so I think we need to be more explicit about those types of requirements so that it can expedite staff review, so that we're not accused of delaying applications.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot
So,
lately.
again,
Which,
minus any accusations that this commission is delaying them or the town, my response right now is like, well, we have statutory guidelines and timeframes in which we're entitled to follow. And so the commission will take its time in rendering any decision it needs to on any application, because that's in the best interest of the town. Who's going to argue with that? So, not that we want to belabor things, but just we have statutory time, and as long as we're in it, we're legal. So, why are you going to give us a hard time about what we're legally entitled to do? We're not trying to give anybody a hard time or delay any project. We're just trying to do our due diligence.
right, exactly.
So,
Yeah, and I think those two go hand in hand. Having it spelled out, this is exactly what constitutes a complete application. We're not going to open the door to the time period that goes by without that. And we're also, by the way, you meet these qualifications, it's going to go to the Wetlands Commission.
And,
So I
the
think both of
commission's
those.
time, the staff time involved, all this time is expended and, resources are spent, only to get to the end to say, hey, it's an incomplete application.
Yeah.
And then you have an angry applicant. It's just
Right.
a difficult one I think we can address.
So what would the subcommittee entail?
A subcommittee, you'd have to appoint people to it. Basically, I'm staff in the agency in that subcommittee, and we would probably just take out the regs as a jumping off point that have already been drafted and start there. And
Mhm.
maybe read through them as a draft if the committee or you could just task it to people. With the subcommittee, we have to post agendas,
Oh, right.
take minutes.
Yeah.
If you just task 2 people to work on that with staff, we could do that, and that would not constitute a subcommittee because there's only 2, and it's not a quorum.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we could bring the draft language back in front of the commission as a whole and have public discussion. If the agency wants to go forward, next step would be public hearing, we notice that, and we go through that process.
Okay. Does this sound interesting to anybody?
Yeah, I could sit on that.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't mind either. The 2 of us can start, and then as a task group, start diving in to
Okay,
work
so,
on this, and then
We will change the regs?
no. Further
Application
define what
Starting.
a complete application is.
Oh, okay.
So that when someone's saying, here's my application, oh, but here's only page 2,
Oh,
I'll
right,
give you
right.
page 3 next week. That
Sure.
We're not going to consider, okay, you're within the 65-day window.
Oh, right.
Just to spell that out a little bit more clear.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Fair to
I think the-
everybody.
Yeah, right.
The last thing we want is for the town to get a reputation of being anti-business, or not business friendly. And that's not what's going on here at all. We're just protecting the town and the resources that we have in a diligent way. And so somehow we've got to,
I would just,
It creates more transparency, I think.
the philosophy I want to stress is that if you submit a complete application, the first time around, it expedites everything. That's business.
Hmm.
We'll move as fast as you can move if everything's in order. If it's not in order and plans got to be revised, and you have to have meetings and discussions, guess what? That's not going to expedite anything, it's just going to drag it out. And I think that's what the public doesn't see. And that's what I'd like to stress is, hey guys, tell applicants, if you just submit everything that we need, do it right the first time, we'll get through this.
Yeah. Plus, it also helps when you've got 10 applications on your desk and you're looking at half of one and then half of another, and then you have to go back to that one to refresh your mind, to look at new information, and it just complicates the process. So, yeah. All right, so Greg and I will start working on that with you, and
I will
We'll-
forward you the draft language that I've crafted thus far,
okay.
the subcommittee had worked on, and we'll go from there.
Okay,
Great.
great. All right, anything else before we move to Ann? Enforcement? Anything?
Other than 297 Boston Post Road, everything else has kind of been on hold with the weather. Continuing
Right.
to monitor sites. That's really as far as enforcement goes. And then we have some pending litigations, as I said. I will talk to Robertson and Cole, figure out if it's some abbreviated executive session. That's where we're at.
Okay.
I have noticed the people that are working next to the cemetery is on Riverview.
Yes.
They're very neat. If anybody has driven by there, they've got all their logs stacked up. It looks like a nice job.
Yeah, I did get out there Friday before the storm. I did check out their corduroy, or not even corduroy, it's a bridge that was installed. I have pictures. I'll stick them in the file. I can forward them if you're interested. But that looked like it went in pretty well. He's maintaining a pretty neat site. So far, so good. Say
Great.
that.
Do they have plans to build or doing something?
No, just a timber harvest.
Oh, interesting.
Mr. Pollock is just harvesting the wood, proper forest management.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's any plans to do anything with the land.
No.
And it's a large piece, it's 30 plus acres.
Wow,
So,
that's big.
Hmm.
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Diane?
Hi. I guess I just had a question first. You guys are still missing 3 alternates, is that correct? Or
Correct.
were you able to find anybody? No? Okay. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was, I don't know if you saw it on the town website, there was a subcommittee formed to disperse the American Rescue Funds for small businesses and nonprofit organizations. And there is an application that's on the town website that people, organizations can fill in. They're due by February 21st with supporting documentation into either you can email them in or mail them in to the First Selectman's office. And people need to, provide a brief description saying what economic issues you had due to negative impact due to COVID, and what you would use this money for. Basically, I think it's like 500 characters to describe it. So it's a short application. We're trying to get the word out. It is on the website, so if you can just pass it around to people, because as many applications, the more we get, I think the better it will be.
Is that applicable for local restaurants?
I would wonder, yeah. So, Any
Small
business.
businesses, nonprofit
Yeah.
organizations. and
Small
so,
business.
Okay.
It has to fit certain criteria,
Mhm.
and it's kind of more detailed on the website.
Okay.
But yeah, as it stands, this advisory committee is made up of 8 people, some from the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, some community members, nonprofit organizations. We're going to be reviewing the applications and then providing to the Board of Selectmen our recommendations. Board of Selectmen, I guess, ultimately has the final say. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys, let's see, what was it? Basically, for the ARP funds, just kind of rounding, the total funding was about $5.4 million. To date, under the administration of Mark Nickerson, about $1.68 million was appropriated, and there's a remaining balance of about $3.7 million.
What was it?
Just kind of rounded.
What was the date on that again, Ed? The submission date for,
I can't
what
hear
was
you.
the submission date deadline for?
Oh, February 21st.
21st.
Monday, February 21st at 2 p.m. And it's either, it's right on the town website, explains everything.
Right.
So if you can get the word out, we're trying to get it out as fast as we can because it's already February
Yeah.
1st. And we actually have to present to the Board of Selectmen, I think it's like by March 8th. So it's going to be a quick turnaround, very quick. And then I think March 16th, they decide what they want, what's going to happen with it, something like that. It's a very quick turnaround. So.
On that note, I will note the Planning Commission at their last meeting asked that they crafted a letter their behalf, I'll be sending to this subcommittee and Kevin, the recommendations that come out of basically the POCD, what we thought was low-hanging fruit, for projects in town that this ARP money might be qualified for, and that will help them.
Yeah, now this is a little different, so what we're doing for this is just the small business and nonprofit.
Yes.
Everybody else, the department heads are submitting to the First Selectman directly. I don't know if the advisory committee deals with the departments. I'm not quite sure. They haven't quite worked that out. I think that they might be dealing with us first and then going to the Board of Selectmen. I'm not sure.
Okay, so
It's kind of a little-
either way, the memo will go to Kevin's office, and then he'll
And
decide
then
how
he'll
to
either, yeah,
the appropriate.
yeah, we haven't quite gotten there yet.
So, that, anyway, the memo, the letter will go to the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah,
So,
we're just trying to put some money aside for the, you know, for the small businesses and nonprofits.
Absolutely.
I mean, the town could use all the money in a heartbeat,
Absolutely.
so that's really what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions?
No, we just had a little bit of discussion. It's kind of been ongoing for a bit. We are concerned about the current location of the bus garage because it was a temporary location and there's wetlands all around it and
About the what?
the bus garage,
Where the bus
School
garage
bus.
is,
the middle school.
Industrial park area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where they park right behind the middle school, like on that dirt? you're
Yes.
talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so obviously it's not an ideal spot, especially as they add, there's a lot of cars that are just parking kind of haphazardly. There's wetlands right there and, you know, nor is it a locked garage space for the buses for a safety issue. It's also a wetland issue. So we were discussing, I don't know if any of the funds that are coming into the town could be potentially used for a new location for the bus garage. It's kind of something that we've just been discussing. You know, Gary's talked to Mr. Newman and Newton.
Actually, Chris Lund over at the Board of Ed, I reached out to him, and I think I had CC'd Jeff on the email. So it's on their radar, as well as Kevin kind of brought the issue up, and it's an issue that Wetlands is concerned about. So they're open to, you know, finding a solution.
Yeah, so what I heard, I mean, this was something that somebody kind of threw out there a year ago, so, you know, was that they were thinking maybe, you know, at some point they might be able to put at the public safety building, store the buses there, because they have a big space there.
A larger space, yeah.
Larger space, yeah. I don't know if that's something that would happen or not, but I do remember hearing it. And I'm not sure if that's still something that's, you know.
Now with the salt shed that was constructed, I don't know that the space is available, because you need parking for town employees that go to that facility. You have to look at the site plan to see if there's room for buses there, but nonetheless, I think alternative locations.
I'm talking about the public safety building, the new building.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the pubs.
Yeah, you're
I'm
thinking
thinking
of
of the
the.
DPW building.
Yeah, yeah.
Public
Town
safety
garage.
building, concerns there. We got the FEMA floodplain and wetlands that surround that. So any expansion to the parking lot, obviously, will be a permit. So that's something that town will need to be mindful of, that
Okay.
if they do choose that as a location. Now, if they can choose it as a location and fit in the buses in the existing parking lot, and no change to the site plan, that's great. You know, that would be fantastic. I just don't know if the space is available.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just remember one time I was touring.
Yes,
and
I
somebody
recall that idea that
brought it up.
they were talking about that.
Yeah. So, but that's something, so there's a lot of wetlands surrounding the public safety building?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, that's good to
Basically,
know.
the
Yeah.
floodplain, if you look at a site plan, it's the whole building is elevated, and the floodplain basically is at the toe of the slope. So you'd be filling floodplain, in which case you have to probably create a compensation area elsewhere for that flood storage, and that can be difficult to do engineering-wise.
That would be if you're increasing.
If we had to increase the footprint.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so I'd have to talk to the town engineer and see how, if that could be designed to, I don't know how you compensate for the flood storage.
So did Jeff Newton or Chris Long have any ideas about
Um,
anything else to put the buses?
No, but they said, thanks for letting us know, and,
Yeah.
great, I had a few ideas, they were like, that sounds good, give us a call, we'll talk, so.
So what about the current space? Is there anything you could put curbing in, or like
So I did have some
pervious
discussion
asphalt?
with our town engineer and the deputy director of public works, Mr. Shear, regarding this issue, and they made an argument that the existing condition would be better than paving it. Okay.
But there's pervious paving.
Pardon? Pervious paving, yes. I think their argument was leave it as is and do nothing would be the least amount of impact. So I didn't get very far there.
I just wonder how they ended up there. I mean, it's just
I think it was supposed to be just.
It was temporary. It was
Yeah.
like, hey, let's just park him here for a few months.
my
I
understanding.
think that was
Yeah.
literally it.
Because that, I mean,
So is it doing, having them park there, is there?
well, they're dripping oil. I mean,
it
they've got
leaks,
to.
that's right, into the, right
Yeah,
into the
it's,
soil.
everything's running off right there. It's really not ideal.
Okay.
We've
I think
tested,
the
but
additional
it'd
issue is
be
the
high.
Yeah.
employees are parking on the road shoulder, that's
Yeah.
destroying any grass or any vegetation, to hold that soil in place. So there's constant erosion out into the road, which ends up in the catch basin.
Mhm.
that the
Yeah,
town
there's
has
huge
to
puddles
clean,
there
but
now, and yeah, it's.
Our cleaning schedule is hampered by there's just so many catch basins and not enough staff to,
Yeah.
and then it's, again, we have to prioritize that amongst the emergencies and things like that. So, well, we do clean catch basins. It's a slow and arduous process throughout the year. We do it all summer long. That's just one catch basin we have to clean more often than others. So,
Yes, we don't really have an answer, but
yeah,
we have.
the other
There's a problem.
issue with Yankee Gas came in and they ran a gas line and removed the white split rail fence that had gone around that pond.
Oh.
To this date, it has not been replaced. I think there's a portion of fence that it comes out and it stops, and you'll see like, it's still there. I don't know, may have been since removed.
Where's the fence? I'm trying to.
It went around the pond, so if you're looking at the bus parking lot,
Yeah.
pond is to the left of the buses. There was a white split rail fence
Okay.
that, I think it was 3 rails,
Yeah.
that ran across and kind of delineated the pond and just separated it from the road and any parking there. Now, because it was removed, they just park all in there. I have not been able to get in touch with anyone who's oversees the Yankee Gas. So maybe working with Kevin, Public Works, we can try to get the fence back
Yeah.
or have them do something. But
So nobody really had an idea of where they could park these buses.
I thought
currently, no.
the garage, they can't do the town garage?
I don't know if there's enough space.
Oh, okay.
But there may be some space at the old town garage, right, which is
Yeah.
on Roxbury Road.
That's what I meant.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
I was thinking.
So there could be
Yeah.
space there. There's also a fueling.
I thought that was a town garage.
Yeah, sure.
So
Stupid.
they may be able to, buses may be able to fuel there and park there.
Yeah, 'cause I'm like, it's not far.
Water and sewer still works out of the back building,
By Karen.
and Karen shares in there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Are they using that, besides Karen Share and the others, are they using it for anything else? I mean,
There's plenty of
Pursuant to the
space.
zoning approval for some of the site changes that went on there, I believe the building, the use was going to be abandoned.
Oh, there you
I
go.
don't know, I'll have to check with Bill just to find out what the status is, but I think the building's still being used for storage. Dry
so maybe
storage.
that's an option then.
So where's the other town garage? I mean, I thought the one,
That's all I'm saying.
I thought that was the town garage.
Down on Colton
On
Road.
Colton Road, yeah.
The
Oh.
Tasio building, that was where we built a new salt
Yeah,
shed.
where the Lyme Shores is.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
you can actually go out there and get free road salt.
Yeah.
That's why they're first to my neighborhood. The roads are always plowed really nicely.
Mm, nice. Your cars ride out, you don't know why. It's like, what the?
All right, that's kind of where.
Yeah, that's,
We digress.
yeah. Yeah, we just want to continue ongoing conversations and discussions in case we can come up with a solution at
And
some point.
also, I think we know if the board is welcome.
Yeah, that'd be great. Great, thank you.
So are we gonna have our legal discussion? I thought,
The Wetlands 101?
yeah,
Yeah.
Next, it'll be on the agenda
It'll be
for
on the
next
agenda,
meeting.
And that was a breakdown between staff and I on the agenda.
Mhm.
Mark and to point it out because I don't see my Wetlands 101 on the agenda. And I went to the website, I looked, I said, you're right. And he goes, I don't think it's a good idea when I'm going to brief the commission on freedom of information, what's legally required, and I don't have it on the agenda. So I have to agree with him. I'm going forward with it, makes a lot of sense. We'll put it on next month's agenda. That said, there's nothing else on that agenda, so we certainly, if I can get the regulation to you, maybe we can get something crafted and brought before the commission then. That gives us 3 weeks, I think, 3 or 4.
A month, yeah, a month from today, 4 weeks from today, exactly, right?
We could potentially crank something out in that time.
Yep.
Great.
All right.
So why did we change our meetings from Monday to Tuesday?
One of the things, when I put the calendar together, my thought was, we have zoning meets twice a month, planning meets once a month. In either case, Wetlands has to issue a permit before either of those two commissions can take action.
Okay.
So it should come first in the order of things, and this way, those applications, you can start and be ahead of planning and zoning. Now, again, when an application is submitted simultaneously to both the wetland agency and or the planning commission or zoning commission, it's a little more, can be a little more difficult to navigate, but that said, we still have statutory timelines in which we follow. And those agencies and commissions can't take action until they receive a report from this agency anyway. So the thought was, we just came up for them. We can change it.
No, I was just curious.
Okay.
That's all.
My rationale.
It's okay till the fall when there's Monday Night Football, then it's a problem. Pardon me? Well, I know, but I was just saying, if we move it back to Monday, then it's.
Oh, well, yeah, let's mess with it.
All right.
Was there an executive session today?
Yes, Marcus spoke.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.